The Dodgers have won the World Series for the first time since 1988. But there's no question as to what the biggest talking point from this game will be, or second biggest, depending on who you ask. But we'll get to that. Bottom of the sixth, Blake Snell is through the Dodgers order for the second time and gives up a hit to Austin Barnes. Since Kevin Cash believes in not letting his starter go through the order for a third time, and with the tying runner on first, that would dictate he's about to get pulled. But surely not this time. I mean, Snell's pitching the game of his life. He's only on 73 pitches because he's been that dominant. Surely Cash isn't going to go to the bullpen this early. Oh my God, man! What are you doing? Look at that face. That is the face of a broken man. And keep in mind, he's staring blankly into the void before Cash has even taken the mound. Once he does, he lets it all out with a very hearty fuck off. So now, in comes Nick Anderson to try and steady the ship. He hasn't even pitched a strike yet. This decision is already a disaster. And now Mookie Betts hits a double. And he gives a little back that ass up afterwards. Look at Snell. You can tell he's put on his mask thinking, don't let them see you cry, man. Don't let them see you cry. Cash continues to think he's done nothing wrong. How about now, fam? You know who wouldn't have thrown that wild pitch? Blake Snell. And he knows it. Now this was not an Anderson. This was just a weak throw to home. Combine that with Betts' game-breaking speed, and that's a recipe for disaster. But the Dodgers know they've got this game won now, and oh my God, stop cutting to Snell after every Dodgers run, you heartless bastards, Fox. Show Dave Roberts instead. He's the reaction king. There's Kevin Cash, maskless now since he's clearly given up on life. This is what happens when you let a computer call all the shots. For a sport that's so hell-bent on following the analytics, this is a classic case of outsmarting yourself. Not only was Snell dealing after not pitching in 5 days, the top of the order was 0 for 6 against him to that point. And the guy you're replacing him with has given up at least one run in his last 6 games. This was only going to end one way. You don't see decisions like this in other sports, do you? You don't pull a goalie who's got a shutout going. You don't take out LeBron James in the playoffs when he has 30 points in 20 minutes. You don't throw the ball at the 1 yard line instead of handing it off to your running back in the Super Bowl. I'm sorry. I couldn't resist. But either way, why is a decision like this the norm in baseball? It needs to change because it's not good for the game to take out your star players like this. Remember when before the season started, Blake Snell took to Twitch to air his grievances about possibly taking a pay cut? Now, I give huge kudos to him because he was very diplomatic about this after the game. But I hope he goes on Twitch soon to tell us how he really feels. Now, obviously, after the game, it was revealed that Justin Turner tested positive for COVID because they got their results mid-game. Yeah, I don't buy that for a second. So, allow me to put on my best Charlie Kelly Pepe Sylvia impression and follow the trail. Now, does it make any sense to you that the first test results from yesterday came back in the second inning? No, MLB had to have known that afternoon that something was up. But there was already a 1-day delay heading into Game 6, and they don't want to raise any concerns by postponing this. That said, knowing that the bubble's been burst, and that Turner could possibly spread it to both teams, MLB does not want the series to go 7 games, especially since it might have been delayed for God knows how long. So what do? They send an order down to Kevin Cash telling him, pull Blake Snell while he's dealing, then come up with a bullshit excuse about how the analytics told you to. Then, after the Dodgers win, they break the news after the season is already over with, and there's nothing anybody can do about it. And then someone goes to complain to HR about it, only to find out there is no Carol in HR.
Well, it's a bittersweet night for us. We're glad to be done. I do think it's a great accomplishment for our players to get this season completed, but obviously we're concerned when any of our players test positive. We learned during the game that Justin was positive. He was immediately isolated to prevent spread.
All kidding aside, congrats to you, LA sports fans. 2020 has been crap, but you got 2 championships out of it. That's not too shabby.